Hello everyone and welcome to another Pokemon Trading Card Game live video. My name is Jamie and today I'll be taking you through another deck which has come out from the most recent expansion, which of course is Destined's Rivals. But as always, just before we do go into the video, if you do like this type of content and you want to see some more content related to the Pokemon Trading Card Game, then as always be sure to hit that subscribe button and of course like this video. So let's have a look at the deck of today. So we're looking at, again, it's a new concept with a kind of oldish, can't say oldish card, it's not that old, it's a future Pokemon, Iron Thorns EX. So we'll look at the card that has come out from Destined's Rivals very shortly. So Iron Thorns is very interesting. I think we all know what it does by now, but anyway, if you don't, it has this ability here, which is really good, initialization, and basically as long as it's in the active spot, it blocks all abilities, both yours and your opponents, of Pokemon that have EXs, or there's no Vs in the format anymore, but Pokemon EX basically. So the idea basically is that loads and loads of Pokemon rely on having abilities. I mean, you've got things like Fezandipity, you've got Squawkabillies, you've got Mew for restart. There's so many Pokemon in the format that they use abilities that are EXs, so this stops and blocks them all basically. So do keep in mind that this also is for your own Pokemon as well, but it's only EX Pokemon basically. So if we open with this, it can really disrupt our opponent a lot, and it has this attack here, Volt Cyclone, for 140 damage for a lightning and 2 colorless. 140 is not bad, so you can 2-shot most like basic EXs, I would say. And you remove an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon as well. So weak to fighting, very heavy retreat cost, but we can get around that a little bit, as we'll soon find out. But then is that. So what is the Pokemon that it kind of best pairs well with? Well, we're pairing it with this card here, which has come out from Destined's Rivals, which is Crustle. So this deck kind of featured a little bit. I've seen it feature in some tournaments as of late, and Crussle's really good. So there was a Sylveon that's very similar as well, has a very similar ability, but Crustle has more HP. I think Sylveon has like 120, I think this has like 150, so a bit more. And its ability, Mysterious Rock In, so it blocks all damage done by Pokemon EX, so EX Pokemon basically. So that's really good. So again, so many decks rely on abilities, and abilities like on EX Pokemon, and this just stops them from attacking you basically, so that's really good. It also has this attack here, Superb Scissors, for 120 damage for a grass and then 2 colorless, and it's not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. I think Sylveon also does it does less damage. I think it's like 100 or 80, something around that I think, but I do know that Crustle does more damage, so it just makes more sense to pair it with Crustle and not something like Sylveon. So with 2 fire, retreat cost of 3, but that is the idea of the deck basically. We just try and lock our opponent by having things like Iron Thorns in the active, and then we can also use Crustle as well and block EX Pokemon. So you'd be surprised about like how many people just scoop game because they don't have any answers to Crustle. So many decks rely on EX Pokemon that if you just put one of these in the active spot and just start attacking with it, there's not really too much they can do, especially decks like Raging Bolt, for instance. So many decks like that in the format. But that is the idea of the deck. It's a bit of a kind of a lock deck, I would say, in some respects, with initialization and of course Crustle. But trading cards are looking a little bit like this. So we've got here 2 Luxurious Cape. So this just basically bumps our Crustle from 150 HP to 250 HP. Although do keep in mind, if it gets knocked out, then we concede 2 prize cards, not 1. But I think that's a pretty good trade, a pretty good trade-off. So that's why I have 2 of those in there. Team Rocket's Watchtower, just to have a stadium basically. A spec of choice is Poké Vital A, so it heals 150 damage. 150 damage from one of your Pokemon. And yeah, pretty good. The idea is just to keep our Pokemon alive, and if you have things like Luxurious Cape and you take a hit with your Crustle, then we can use Poké Vital A just to recover some energy or try to remove some damage counters off of your Pokemon. I've also got here, so Pokégear, I've got 4 of those. Catcher as well, Pokemon Catcher. So just to try and bring things up. So what you want to be doing with Crustle is bringing things up on the active spot that could potentially knock you out and knock those out instead. So against things like, I don't know, like Terrabox for example, they often try and lead with things like Noctowl. So you want to try and knock out things that can do damage basically to you. So that's why I have Pokemon Catchers in there. We've also got Night Stretcher and Nest Ball Arven's in there for bosses as well, to knock up those knock out those things that are going to be potentially threatening to us. Iono, we've got here 1 Super Potion as well, which is really interesting. So again, heal damage from our Crustle And yeah, we discard an energy, but we heal 60 damage, so I think it's a pretty good trade-off, especially when you are all powered up. We've also got here Turbo Energize. This is a really good card, especially if you're leading with Iron Thorns. What you can do is attach one of these to your Iron Thorns if you Arven turn 1, and use Turbo Energize, and then attach the energy to your bench Pokemon, so in this case would be your Crustle. So that's the idea. 3 Crispin as well, so we are very, very slow in energy attachment, so we need a way to speed that up. That's why we've gone for 3 Crispin in there. Techno Radar, just if we want to lead with Iron Thorns, we have that option. So we've got Research, Super Rod, just one Buddy-Buddy because we're not playing too many non-EX Pokemon there. So yeah, just the 3 Dwebble there, so that's why we've got one Buddy-Buddy. And of course, finally, Future Booster. So Future Booster is really good, just gives our Iron Thorns free retreat. So that is the trainer line. Let's go to the energy line. We're looking a little bit like this for the energy line. So 4 basic lightning energy there, so 4 basic grass, pretty standard. We can choose to attack with either Iron Thorns or Crustle, depending which way you want to go. 1 jet energy, just to add a little bit of versatility if we do need to switch. And we've got some other special energy here, medical energy to heal damage from our Pokemon, so that's also pretty good. So we do rely on colorless attachments here, so we can utilize things like medical energy in that respect. And of course, Mist Energy as well, so to prevent all the effects of our opponent's Pokemon with Mist Energy, basically. That is the idea. So cool. Yeah, that's the Pokemon line, that's the trainer line, that's the energy line. So that's the concept of this deck is just to try and stall out our opponent while just doing damage and put them in kind of put them in a bit of a corner, really. So, and when they start leading with things that can knock us out, then we just use things like Catcher and we use things like bosses to knock those out with our Pokemon, and just to make sure that they only have EX Pokemon in play. But that is the theory, that is the concept. Let's go put it into practice and let's play a game with it. Okay, so we can choose, we're going to go first, second, let's go first, why not? We can try and lead with Iron Thorns and get some Dwell on the bench. Okay, Mulligan. That's fine, let's go back. Okay, yes, Mulligan. Cool, good start. Let's see, we'll just stick with Iron Thorns for the moment, just see what they do, what they open up with, and then we can stick the roll down. Raging Bolt. Okay, this should be a very favorable matchup for us. Let's see. Take that there. Nice, okay, so if we just get a Crustle down, I don't know like what else they play in there that's doesn't rely on that isn't a non-EX in that deck, because Raging Bolt is a very heavy EX based deck. So next turn, I mean, we can get Crustle down, Arven, maybe get the Future Booster, I think. Nice to get the... So they might even knock it out, to be honest. They might even knock out Iron Thorns, in which case we just Crispin, put Crustle down. I think we're good. Oh, okay, they didn't. Okay, I was expecting that they would. Alright, cool, let's get Crustle down. Nice. Okay, well... It'd be good to use Crispin here, then we can also just, yeah, put a 2 onto Crustle. That'd be the idea, but the issue is how do we get the Iron Thorns out of the active spot? So let's just go for, let's get a Future Booster there. Do we have energy in? Oh, we can't, yeah. Okay, so we can't get that anyway, we want Future Booster. Do we get any more? Yeah, I guess we get some, let's get Buddy. It's a Future Booster there. Let's get Buddy-Buddy. Nice, got another Dwebble, so that means another Dwebble prize. That's fine. Cool. And we've got Crustle there for next turn. We've got Crispin. We've got Iono, Poké Vital. I think we're pretty set up. Pretty set up. Oh, okay. Precious Trolley. Let's see. What are they getting with the Trolley? This would be a good indication as well as to kind of what Pokemon. Oh, they play Maractus. Okay, interesting. So Maractus there. Okay. So it's kind of a Raging Bolt build, but has another avenue. So okay, that's interesting. So this is where things like having the 4 bosses and having, for instance, the catchers as well. We want to try and bring up things that are going to be, you know, that can knock out our Crustles and knock them out. So that Smoliv, I believe, on the bench, we want to try and knock that out, basically. So I don't know, like so I mean the stage 2 is that's an EX, so that won't do any damage. Wait, they didn't attack it. Okay, 6.29. Okay, interesting. But they would have attacked. Cool. Crispin, let's grab ourselves a grass and a lightning. Why not? Put it into a hand. We'll put yeah, just put that into a hand. Why not? And we'll stick the lightning over here. And yeah, I guess we'll try and be conservative a little bit and keep the jet energy. Maybe we might need to switch out a little bit. Let's see. Cool. And let's, yeah, Superb Scissors. Put some damage on to the Ragey Bolt. So now that they're pretty, even if they knock out the Iron Thorns, the question becomes how do they knock out the other 2 Pokemon? How do they knock out the Crustle? So they can catch or catch her up. They can boss up the Iron Thorns, which is fine. But what we really need to be drawing right now is we need to be drawing some bosses. Okay, well you can knock out the Iron Thorns if you want. That's okay. That's not really too relevant in this matchup, minus the fact that it stops a couple of abilities. Cool. 740, 225. So yeah, so 4 energy for knockout, I believe. That's what you need. So here, our objective is not to target the Raging Bolt, and we'll do damage if we have to, but the objective here is to target things like the Maractus, although it does have exploding needles, and to target here this Smoliv, just to make sure that there's nothing they can actually do damage to us with. The Raging Bolt, the Ogre-Pons, they're not going to do anything. So miss energy. That's fine. I just don't think we are. I'm sticking this energy here. And well, Iono, they've got a pretty big hand from left to 4 cards. Cool. Okay, so we got a catcher in hand. Nice. So that's kind of the benefit, and we've got a Luxurious Cape. Let's put that on there. Let's catch us, see if we get heads. If not, no big deal. Nice. Okay, tails. That's fine. That's okay. So let's hit another 120. Why not? Let's one more, but for the knockout. But again, this we've got Pokégear in hand. It's very likely that we will hit a bosses with that, and with the bosses we'll try and knock out something. Well, you don't need to knock out the Raging Bolt. Okay, nice. Community Center. And that actually works for us, I think so. Cool, Maractus. Yeah, I figured that would be the case. So that's why we've got the Luxurious Cape. It just kind of puts a little bit of cushion there. Cool, that's okay. Let's... okay, research. That's fine, well, we have options there, that's okay. Cool, we'll just knock out the Maractus. Next turn we can recover the energy, I think that's fine. Plus 60 damage. No, so that's okay. We've got a bit of leeway with that Luxurious Cape, so that's absolutely fine. Iron Thorns, we don't need that. Cool, yeah, we'll Super Potion, put that down to 20. We can use Community Center as well if we use a supporter, right? So it actually helps us quite a lot. Might not, that actually might not be a bad shout to put in this deck, actually, is the Community Center. I'm trying to heal some of that, especially to counter things like Maractus. for exploding needles and things like that. That could also be a good shout. I like the idea. Alright, well, they just conceded. As I said, like, some decks, they just don't know what to do against this. Like, you just stick a couple of Crustles out. They've got things like Raging Bolts are very heavily EX based. I don't really know what to do against decks like Crustle. But yes, so many decks just rely on EXs, and that's why I think this is a really good shout in terms of trying to lock out your opponent. I think it's a really good idea. But hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight as to how this deck works. I mean, I'll leave the list for this deck in the description box below if you guys want to check it out and let me know what you think of the deck. But I think even if we played another match, most matches tend to end like this, where our opponent just concedes anyway because they're just out of options. So that's kind of why I think Crustle is a really good shout. But yeah, nonetheless, if you do like this type of content, you want to see some more content related to the Pokemon trading card game, then as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button and, of course, like this video. I'll also leave some more videos at the end of this one if you want to check them out, some more deck profiles that I've done on TCG Live. But there you pretty much have it, guys. That is Crustle for you, or Iron Thorns / Crustle. So thank you very much for watching, and see you all in the next one.